Well, talk about a heated topic in the gaming community over the last month. Streamers getting cancelled, some pretty nasty labels being handed out to those who simply just want to play the game, and all this due to the actions of the woman who hasn't even contributed one bit to this project, outside of owning the IP, of course. But is all the drama really worth it? No, of course it's not, and that's not the focus of this video. Look, you can have your own beliefs, and if you don't want to play this game, that's up to you, but please, do not harass people who are enjoying this game, or are just excited to play it when they get their hands on it. Playing the funny wizard game does not make somebody a bad person, so long as they are not playing it out of spite. Now, most people understand this, but of course, the terminally online need that explained to them. For those people, all I have to say is, please go outside. Talk to a real human being. I'm telling you this for your own good. Now they're gone, you may be wondering, is this game really worth all the hype? And what's this game all about anyways? Hogwarts Legacy is a game set in the Harry Potter universe where you get to create your own character and live out a year at Hogwarts, the School of Wizardry. But during your stay, things in this world are not as they seem. While attending the school, an army of dark wizards and goblins wreak havoc across the wizarding world. And your character is all that can stop them, as you are the only one who is able to wield this ancient magic that is needed to stop these enemies. The world in this game is beautiful and expansive and is full of things to do within it. The devs have done an amazing job of bringing this world into game form, to the point where certain areas are even shot for shot accurate with their movies. Since this game is open world, there are a lot of places to discover and explore even outside of the quests. However, the main location where you will spend a good chunk of your time is Hogwarts Castle. The castle itself is absolutely massive, and is full of quests and secrets to find throughout your playthrough. There are a lot of puzzles to solve in the castle, which reward you with either collectibles or gear. A lot of these puzzles will require you to use the various spells you will be taught throughout the game, but there are also these doors that require you to use some basic math, which may come off as a bit annoying at first, but once you understand them, it's not too hard. I can now also say I got more educational value out of Hogwarts Legacy than I did the public education system. Moving on from the castle, there are also many small towns to discover in the world that are full of people who need help and merchants that sell various items from that region. Most of these towns just have a handful of things to do and discover, with one exception being Hogsmeade. This town is entirely different from the other little villages in the game, as it has a fairly large shopping district where you can purchase just about anything you could possibly need for your quests in the game. This town is also a big location throughout the narrative of the game, so you will become pretty accustomed to it, as you may be even visiting this town more than a castle depending on how you play the game. Speaking of the narrative, it's easily the worst part of the game. Or to be more specific, the main story's narrative is just not that good. The main story of the game almost feels like it's taking backstage when compared to a lot of the side quests in the game. It's strange how it sets up these two villains as these massive threats very early on in the game, but you never interact with them again until the final hours of the game. For example, one of the villains named Mr. Rookwood comes and threatens you in one of the opening acts of the game, and I was expecting this guy to act as this like malicious force that would constantly be trying to get in my character's way and stop me from progressing. But no, he doesn't show up again until the second to last mission of the game. I'm not even kidding when I say I forgot this guy existed until his boss fight. Hell, when writing the script for this video, I had to look up his name again because I forgot. The only reason I remember this guy exists at all is because, in my opinion, he is one of the best boss fights in the game. But on that same note, the main villain, Ranrock, is almost equally as forgettable. At least he's mentioned a decent bit by the other characters, so I was sort of able to remember him. But he's also just another one-note villain who's just evil for the sake of being evil, which isn't always bad, but these characters really need some depth to make them more interesting. And I know the writers could have done that, as there's this character shown becoming corrupt through the use of ancient magic in these flashback cutscenes of the game, and that character is a much more compelling antagonist and doesn't even have 10 minutes of screen time. So what I'm trying to get across is that this game has a pretty bad villain issue that bogs down the entire main story of the game. I won't say it's completely terrible, as it wasn't horrible playing through the main quest, but this game is absolutely being carried by some of its side quests. And I'm not referring to the one and dones for these no-name characters, or the ones where you learn spells. I'm referring to these character storylines for the 3 friends you make during the playthrough. The character side quests were personally my favorite part of the game on the story side of things. Like, these are actually really well done. There are 3 characters you will get to know, each being more interesting than the rest of the characters in the game. First off, you have Natsai, who while I didn't immediately click with, I came to like over time, but she's definitely the least interesting of these 3. Then there's Poppy, the only Hufflepuff I would actually floor a guy for bullying. And finally, there's Sebastian. Each of these characters' storylines will take you on a fair share of missions that allow you to get to know each of these characters on a more personal level. Now, each of them have their own different set of missions, and in my opinion, these quests have more interesting stories than the actual main narrative of the game. Especially Sebastian's. I mean, this absolute legend teaches you all the unforgivable curses, and it's great. Something else that is great in this game is the combat. Going into this game, I was very skeptical of the combat, and I could not imagine how they could make casting spells into a fun combat system. But these guys are able to pull it off. The combat in this game is surprisingly one of its highlights. You have your basic attack that is mapped to the trigger, or R2, but you also have a variety of spells that you have learned throughout the game that you can use on enemies. And some of these spells can even be used to create really fun combos. For example, you can use Leviosa to float an enemy in the air, and then use Repulso to throw them away into a wall, which would deal a ton of damage. There's tons of stuff you can come up with in this game, and I'm actually surprised just how many different combos can be made out of just the, I think it's 26 different spells in the game. This game also has very good enemy variety. There are several different types of dark wizards, several different types of goblins, and several different types of malicious wildlife that you will encounter throughout the game. And none of the enemies felt like they had a copy-paste moveset from another enemy of the same type. Some of the enemies also put up spell bubbles, making them immune to certain types of your spells, making you have to utilize more of your kit to take them out. The only exception to this is if you use the unforgivable curses, but you get those spells pretty deep in the game, so the feeling of being overpowered feels earned by that time. Though on that topic, I wish there was a morality system in this game. There is no penalty to being a dark wizard in this game and using nothing but the unforgivable curses on enemies. No matter how heinous of a person you are, you will always get the happy ending. I understand how much more development time that this would take, and this is more so just a suggestion for a follow-up game, as I feel it would really add to the overall experience, as it would make you think through your choices you make throughout the game. But overall, I am very pleased with Hogwarts Legacy. And the story issues aside, I recommend this game to anyone who wants to check out the wizarding world in this new way. This game has extremely fun combat, and an amazing world to explore with so many things to do in it. And I'm glad this game is so successful, and I'm looking forward to the future entries in this series that have been recently discussed. Also, live-action Professor Garlick is a massive dub if that series comes out. Oh yeah, this game's a 9 out of 10.